the soul's still shining through the pain. I'm not the wreck they walked around. I'm standing here on solid ground. You can't find your way back, even when you fall between the cracks. Between the cracks.
Hey, everybody. Who's ready to have some fun, have a little conversation about Dr. Phil McGraw? I want to start out by saying hi to everybody. Officer Cornjob, sorry I missed you. Lindsay, I'm super happy to see you. Incarnasol, Tiff, thank you all for being here. So we're going to start out with Dr. Phil's media company, Merritt Street Media, filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy while also suing Trinity Broadcasting for breach of contract. Then we're going to talk about the fact that he's already announced a new network. So I don't know what he's going to do with that. That's just going to be straight online or whatever. No cable, whatever. And then I want to talk about something that I actually wasn't even aware existed and also didn't know that he was chair of. But President Trump, since his election, I don't think it was that long ago, but he made an executive order for a religious liberties commission, and he appointed Dr. Phil to said commission. But Dr. Phil has also been going on ride-alongs with ICE, which is a conflict of interest to his commission work. And then lastly, we're just going to remind everybody of how he made the majority of his money, which is off of the backs, hearts, and souls of teenage kids in trouble looking for help. Okay, so we're going to start off with the news that broke last week. Yeah, it is. It's pretty typical. It's not surprising either with him. So Dr. Phil's Merritt Street Media Company files for bankruptcy less than 2 years after its launch. So it was a multi-platform network owned by former daytime talk show host Dr. Phil McGraw. They filed for bankruptcy. I think it's like 15 months. So it's even less than a year and a half. So the television and entertainment company filed a motion for Chapter 11 protection on Wednesday in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court in the Northern District of Texas. Filing comes just weeks after struggling company laid off 40 employees in a second wave of job cuts following the dismissal of roughly a third of its staff in August of 2024. So it was launched in 2023 with ambitions of becoming one of the most widely distributed startup networks in modern history, according to an announcement at the time. The company's broadcast network, formed in partnership with Christian-based Trinity Broadcasting Network, offered a broad lineup of programming featuring popular TV personalities, including Nancy Grace, Bear Grylls, and Steve Harvey, in addition to Phil McGraw, the face of the network, being the face of Trinity Broadcasting Network. So it said at the time, Merritt Street Media will be a resource of information and strategies to fight for America and its families, which are under a cultural woke assault as never before, said McGraw at the time of the announcement. I love this country, and I believe family is the backbone of our society. Together, we are going to stand strong and fight for the very soul and sanity of America and get things that matter back on track. In its bankruptcy filing, the Fort Worth, Texas-based company reported assets and liabilities between $100 million and $500 million, court records show. Yeah, we've really got to get back to the backbone of the family, which is, hey, John. Hey, Indigo. Super happy y'all are here. I just love I love self-righteous people who are very much, well, what we would call hypocristians, right? This man is so for profit. I'm okay. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, I'm doing okay. Just taking care of a lot of stuff for my mom, getting ready for court on next Wednesday. Stuff. Yeah, no, I'm good. Um, yeah, thank you. I'm excited to do this. I know I've missed the last couple streams. The one that I had scheduled for either or for Tuesday, I didn't realize that it was like scheduled for 1 o'clock, or is that Monday? And then there was one that was scheduled for 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. I don't know. And somehow I thought everything was scheduled for the evening because I was doing stuff during the day. So I apologize for anybody that was worried about me. I know a few of you did reach out to me, and I really, really do appreciate it. I'm okay. I'm trying to juggle, and sometimes it's really hard for me to do that. Hard for me to juggle. So now we're going to go. Oh, no, that's not the one I want yet. Okay, so I want to show Merit Street Media's website. And we get to see that face. Oh, wait, right when I say that, it goes to Nancy Grace, which is really funny. So, all right, so let's see. So you got, hang on, let me refresh it and he'll come up first. There you go. So you could either like watch it on cable or you could watch for free on Merit TV. Hey, that rhymes. So that's the channel, the website for the channel, I should say. And so, and this I just found, which is kind of fantastic to me. This I just found, it's just 19-second video about his new venture, just days, of course, after. So that's pretty amazing, Doc.
Dr. Phil is not slowing down even after his Fort Worth media company filed for bankruptcy. He's already launching a new one, Envoy Media Co., based in Dallas with plans for live news and original entertainment. So the new network hits the air this month, while Dr. Phil still faces fallout from Merit Media, including a lawsuit against its former broadcast partner. Dr. Phil is...
Yeah, so that, shut up. Sorry, that was rude. But so, yeah, immediately it's just amazing to me. So like I said, he's also suing Trinity Broadcasting. This is just the same Envoy. He just changed the name, really. And when you file for Chapter 11, please. I mean, come on, that's just obvious. He was just looking for protection so that he could switch, and now he'll be in charge. He'll be making all the money. It seems that Ms. Winfrey has taught him well in that sense, but he's his own kind of monster. I mean, and to have, hey, Christy, if you have, I couldn't even find an estimate of all the years that he did his show of how many kids. I would have to take a really deep, long dive into every episode of his show for the 20 years it was on television to see, like, okay, what exactly, how many people has he made money off of? Couldn't find it. I could lowball it in the hundreds. I do believe it's over 1,000, but yeah, I mean, I could lowball it in the hundreds. All right, so we've got a short 2-minute video here with the so this is the Anik. Hi. I was not around. I just saw your message a few minutes before I got on. I'm so sorry that I haven't reached back out to you. I apologize. And thank you for stopping in, and I will message you when I'm done. So this is this was on the National Day of Prayer, and this is when the president announced that Dr. Phil was going to be a part of the new Religious Liberties Commission.
We have Dr. Phil McGraw. Where's Dr. Phil? Oh, you are so big. Come here, Phil. Come here. This guy. He came up, he wanted to do an interview. And I knew him as everybody sort of knows him, right? But he wanted.
It's okay. Don't worry about it, babe. You're here. That's all that matters. I see you. All right. I also want to pause in between these videos. I don't want to get copywritten from Fox.
He said, they don't really understand the real Trump. I want to do it. And he did the nicest interview, talked about things that nobody ever asked me. And a lot of people watched it. I was a little surprised. He's got his own network, and he's become seriously rich. He said, I'll put it on Merit. I said, what the hell is Merit? He said, that's my network. I said, well, I did it as a favor for him, but it turned out to be a favor for me because so many people, millions and millions of people watched it. Would you like to say a few words, or are you shy?
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Oh, I'll speak.
Let's go.
Mr. President, I can't tell you, first off, how proud I am to see religion coming back to the White House. God bless you. God bless you for doing this. And let me tell you, it's not a popular thing to do in America right now.
I just wanted to say, I know you have always supported my mission. I appreciate that, and I love you. I wanted to say, bringing religion back to the White House, no matter your thoughts of the last president of the United States was a devout Catholic. So I'm pretty sure that religion was in the White House. President before was also religious. President before that was George W. Bush. And I believe he's a man of faith himself. So but these guys are really, really nice to each other, and that's great. And they're kind of cut from the same cloth of, just business wise. And but I actually think that President Trump looks up to Dr. Phil because this man has found a way to traffic and imprison children for profit. So I'd be impressed too, I guess, if I was always thinking of money.
And Speaker Johnson is here, and he's a man of religion, but I've sat with President Trump with no cameras around, nobody listening, nobody.
Okay, what you're about to hear I don't know. Sorry for the silence. I'm sorry.
Nobody watching. And I'm telling you, this is a man of deep faith, a man of deep conviction. And this is a man that wants this country to have a heart and have religion. And God bless America for giving us President Donald Trump. And when nobody's listening and nobody's looking, this man cares about every single person in America, independent of race, color, creed, whatever. And it comes from the heart with him. And I am proud to call him my president. And God bless you, Mr. President. God bless you.
Great job.
God bless you. And don't be so surprised when millions of people watch my interviews.
No, I know. I'm very impressed.
When it's tens of millions. With me, it's millions. You're 10x whenever I talk to you.
Thank you very much. Be careful.
So the professional. For some reason I had thought that they had mentioned the commission. So let me bring up. I thought I had a window open on the Religious Liberties Commission. Okay. So the Religious Liberties Commission is a group established by President Trump on May 1st, 2025 to protect and promote religious freedom. It is chaired by Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and vice chaired by Dr. Ben Carson. The commission includes members from diverse religious and professional backgrounds, including religious leaders, legal experts, academics, and public advocates. So it's Dan Patrick, Ben Carson, Ryan T. Anderson, Bishop Robert Barron, Carrie Prajan Baller, Cardinal Timothy Dolan, Pastor Franklin Graham, Allison Ho, Eric Metaxas, Kelly Shackelford, Rabbi Meir Solovechek, Pastor Paula White, Pam Bondi, Scott Turner, Vince Haley, Bishop Salvador Corleone, Pastor Jenizin Franklin, Archbishop Epidephoros of America, Father Thomas Ferguson, Rabbi Mark Gottlieb, Pastor Jack Graham, Rabbi Yakov Menken, Bishop Thomas Paprocki, Bishop Kevin Rhodes, Rabbi Eaton Webb, Rabbi Chaim David Zweibel, Francis Beckwith, Jason Bedrick, Josh Blackman, Gerald Bradley, Eliza Lewin, Kristen Wagner. You know what's really funny? I'm reading all these names. His name isn't on here. That's hilarious. His name's not on here, but he did appoint him. Oh, he's appointed. Is he on the advisory board? Well, he's on it. So anyways, but that first one must not have hi Crystal. So anyways, so there's that. And then, I have been wondering since late January, early February, what Dr. Phil was doing on ride-alongs with ICE, right? I've spoken about this. I still don't really understand what he was doing with ICE, especially if he's now a member of the Religious Liberties Commission. What he is doing is it's a conflict of interest to what the commission stands for, which is to uphold humans' religious liberties. I didn't read anything about the commission that said only citizens. I just saw people's religious freedoms. One sec. So I found an article about how Dr. Phil became ICE's ride-along partner. The doctor is in. I always love seeing that. In his own words, talk show host Phil McGraw is the least political person I know. He describes himself as politically unsophisticated. He says he could watch the Schoolhouse Rock episode about how a bill becomes law and learn something new every time. And yet, Dr. Phil, as he's commonly known, keeps showing up at political events and with politicians. The latest appearance came amidst ICE raids in Los Angeles. Prior to that, he had done ICE raids in Chicago during the winter. He was briefly present at ICE headquarters in Los Angeles on the day agents spanned out to arrest immigrants in the city and sat down with Trump border czar Tom Homan for exclusive interview in advance of and after the largest ICE raid. The operation sparked unrest and protests across Los Angeles over the weekend, and the political fallout continues. On Monday, President Trump said that he'd be willing to arrest California Governor Newsom, and Newsom dared Homan to come do so. This is not brand new, just so you know. For McGraw's part, his interest in immigration has led to an increasingly close relationship with the tough-talking Homan, whom he recently described as a sincere and compassionate man. McGraw embedded with Homan directly during January ICE raids in Chicago for his new entertainment venture, Merit Street Media, a television network focused on news and crime. Okay, so there we go. He was doing it for views, right? Like people do on YouTube. Okay, great. I'm very pro-immigration, 100%, McGraw said in March of 2024, but I think that it has to be controlled. We need to know who is coming into our country. In addition to his seemingly newfound interest in immigration, McGraw has hosted Trump on his show in the lead up to the 2024 election, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, and conservative personality Jordan Peterson. He spoke at Trump's October closing rally in Madison Square Garden. He stated publicly he was available to speak at Harris's rally as well. He and Adams also just appeared at an event together to codify a definition of anti-Semitism in New York City. I didn't need to know that we had to codify a definition. I thought anti-Semitism was understood as Jewish hate. I mean, somebody tell me if I'm wrong. Am I assuming that? He also recently appeared on Newsom's podcast where he pressed the California governor from the right on questions of transgender athletes and cancel culture, in addition to immigration issues. It's an unusual turn for a therapeutic media personality who's got a big break with Oprah Winfrey and for most of his career fastidiously avoided partisan politics. But it's also one of the latest and clearest examples of how the American media landscape has changed, with cultural commentators in particular finding purchase within the expanding conservative ecosystem. Frankly, I'm not very sophisticated in the political arena. I don't know a lot about it, McGraw told Newsom on his podcast. I'm really focused on cultural issues, and politicians talk about cultural issues a lot. What McGraw is indirectly describing is a shift online among formerly non-political or apolitical influencers towards openly discussing the political issues that they feel fit under their broad remit. These personalities, which include Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Sean Ryan, and the Nelk Boys, have often been credited with helping to expand Trump's coalition to include young men. McGraw himself is somewhat different, since he's a daytime television stalwart whose audience skews older and more female. He certainly can't be confused for a young man whisperer. That's for sure. But his transition into conservative politics has familiar notes. He still isn't focused on partisan politics writ large, but he's increasingly engaged with the issues of aggrievement and cancel culture that animate the right. His concerns, as he states openly, is a cultural shift away from traditional morals, it should say morals, and an amorphous idea of family values. I'm here to talk to and stand up for the people who have declared their support for Donald J. Trump, or they've got found out, or they want to do it, but they're too intimidated, McGraw said at Trump's MSG rally. Because you know what happens when somebody in this country says, hey, I'm going to vote Republican, I'm going to vote Donald Trump. They get canceled, intimidated, marginalized, excluded, or even fired or boycotted. And you know what that means? In short, that adds up to being bullied. Even as Republicans have amassed concentrated political power, controlling the presidency in both houses of Congress, with a conservative majority on the Supreme Court, McGraw remains focused on a softer form of cultural power. His public comments suggest that he sees his role as a straight shooting arbiter of old school, culturally conservative entertainment who won't be captured by a more progressive entertainment industry. I don't understand why he would call riding along and filming ice raids as entertainment, though. I'm a little hung up on that. McGraw was not immediately available for comment. A representative for McGraw told Politico magazine in a statement that Merit TV news crews were on the ground during the recent ICE operations in Los Angeles on Friday. In order to not escalate any situation, McGraw did not join and was not embedded as he previously was in Chicago. Asked Monday about McGraw's fly-on-the-wall involvement in ICE raids, Newsom stiff-armed a question from Politico, declining to ascribe a motive to the TV personalities and increasing fascination with the politics of immigration. So that doesn't really, okay, so that's pretty much all there is on that. But I found it so interesting that this man who does come from entertainment, the first time I ever even heard of Dr. Phil McGraw was in the I want to say it was in the 90s when Oprah was sued by the beef industry in Texas. And he was her consultant, her court consultant. And she liked him so much, and she started having him on her show. And then, of course, helped him get his own show. And now he is in a seat of power, which to me makes him even more dangerous. And it's going to make the mission of moving forward with legislation federally for children in treatment much more difficult, because this man here, hang on a second, I want to see, because this was from my question. Hi, Carmel. Anti-Semitism or Jewish hatred is hostility to, prejudice toward, or discrimination against Jews. A person who harbors it is called an anti-Semite. Exactly. So I don't understand. What I don't understand, a lot of it, it's fine with me. Religion is fine with me. Conservatism is fine with me. Liberalism is fine with me. But what I care about is intention and truth. That's what I want. And that's what we're not getting from the government, period. I don't care what letters next to whose name. Our government doesn't, unless any of you happen to be wealthy, which, good on you. But those of us who struggle to maintain and pay our bills, there really aren't any voices that are being heard for representing us. So I also found this, and this is rather interesting. This is from 2021. So, take that into consideration. This is not a new story. It's just a new story to me. So we are going to talk about how Dr. Phil and CBS were sued over alleged sexual assault of teen at a ranch they recommended. Hannah Archuleta, she has spoken out. I'll do another show where I'll show her speaking out. Says she was shipped off to the ranch in Escalante, Utah, where she was 17 after appearing on an episode of Dr. Phil. Really? Are you doing this to me? Rolling Stone used to be a really cool magazine. It used to be, for me, sometimes beliefs don't bother me until they infringe on others or cause harm. Yes. So yeah, for me, everything is about kids and adolescents, because adolescents are still kids. I don't care. You become a legal adult at the age of 18. They're even keeping kids in these programs now into their early 20s, which is very disturbing. But that's because there's no federal regulations. Our SICA law, it was only a first step. And I already shared Daniel's Children's Bill of Rights and Treatment, which I think is brilliant, and it definitely needs to go to Congress, and it will. But I do not care. Like, also another example, if it weren't for the GOP leader Steve Scalise and the Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, we wouldn't have gotten the bill from Senate to the House as fast as we did, because and I can't speak on where President Trump stands on this, because he has never publicly stated anything about the troubled teen industry or troubled teenagers or kids. I haven't really seen him say that much, but I've definitely not seen him say a word about knowing what the troubled teen industry is. I do know that that President Trump was not doing well in school, and his father sent him to a military school, which is a form of a troubled teen industry program. But he worships his father, so he never saw it as anything bad. He saw it as something good for him, because that's what his father wanted for him. And yeah, this is kids for me as I get older? Is anyone under 25, frontal lobe development and all? Yes, because for anyone that doesn't know, our brains do not fully develop until we're 25 years old. We also don't stop growing for the most part until we're 25 years old. And that's a fact. But, so I will never say anything negative about anybody if I don't know what their stance is. And again, like I said, I was very grateful, but we didn't know how the new administration would view this, if they would see it as a priority. So that's why it had to be pushed before the end of the year, because they go on vacation, and those who didn't win, so they're off from Christmas until January 20th, Congress, I'm talking. And so, but we were lucky enough to get that into the House, and we had 23 bipartisan House of Representative members who chose not to vote, and 33 Republican House of Representative members who voted no. I have all of their names. I did say I was going to make a community post. And I also have to share my my form letter to send to members of Congress regarding the next steps in SICA and moving forward in regulating the troubled teen industry and looking into the companies that run it and the money and the trafficking of children, which we call gooning, but it is literally kidnapping and trafficking children, a lot of times over state lines. However, while the traffickers are doing this, they have temporary custody of the children until the children reach the program that they're going to be in, and then they're in custody of the program. So I wanted to, my oldest are both 14 and still have a lot of growth and development to do. Yeah. I mean, I don't have children, but I did help each of my parents raise each of their children after me. And I had a lot of, I have several kids who adopted me. They're grown now, and I'm a adopted grandma too, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, kids, I mean, listen, I'm 55, and sometimes I look around my house like, how is nobody, how am I doing? What am I, why do people let me live by myself? But it's hard, and it's double hard for survivors. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to discuss Dr. Phil again. I did get a lot of views last time. I was not as clear. Yeah, where are the grown-ups? I don't know. I don't see any around here, but I got a lot of views on my first video. However, I did it over a year ago, and I was not in my zone then. I love you, Kim May. You know that. Yeah, I'm 30, y'all. That's right. I'll take it. Oh, I had 3 little kids tell me that they love my braids today. I had the guy at 7-Eleven when I went to get my Slurpee tell me he loved my glasses. And then there was a guy in the parking lot, I know it sounds creepy, who, as I was getting into the car, just said, "Excuse me, I just wanted to tell you that you're incredibly beautiful." I was like, wow. And I had like green cotton overalls and a tank top on, and my hair like this. I didn't have my headband on, but I was like covered in sweat and dirt and grass from cutting my mom's yard. And I was like this? Oh, thank you. Wow. Okay. And he's like, actually, I was wondering if I could, take you out. And I'm like, I really, really appreciate the offer, but I don't even know you. So, thank you for the compliment. You are lovely, and I wish you a good day. But I got all these compliments today, and maybe it's just because I'm feeling myself a little more, but I'm much more comfortable now. and much more focused. And I did take some of the criticism I got for the first Dr. Phil episode to not to heart, but as constructive criticism, even though I knew it was meant to just be like, she's terrible, but to be more focused and not seem like I don't know what I'm talking about and what I don't know what I'm doing. But now, sorry about you, I do. So we covered Merit Media filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. We covered his appointment to the Religious Liberties Commission. And now we're going to look at his history with the TTI and how he continues to profit from the TTI. And I want to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 programs that I have found. Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So all of a sudden, very recently in the last 2 weeks, I've started to see some, well, I think it started earlier during winter as I saw a video about Dr. Phil riding along with ice in Chicago, which first of all is really bizarre because Dr. Phil is from and lives in Texas. What's he doing in Chicago? Also, what's he doing with ice? And what's he doing with a film crew? It just is very exploitative and I don't like it. Just like I don't like that he's still doing it and also is now on a Religious Liberties Commission. And I find that to be a conflict of interest. So the open programs that Dr. Phil is still supporting is Wingate Wilderness, Discovery Ranch, which they rebranded as Center for Discovery, Wilderness Treatment Center, Turnabout Ranch, Cross Creek, Spring Creek Lodge, and High Impact. So that is a list that cannot be disputed. I have receipts. If I have to do a follow-up, I will be more than happy to give you the receipts. Sorry about the bumpy screen. So I want to talk about this lawsuit. No, I did the lawsuit, didn't I? Yeah. So now we're going to take a look at the history of, hey, Grimel, I look like, wait, no, wouldn't it be like that? Mandy, how are you? Yeah, I think it would be more like this, Grimel. So we're looking at the troubled teen history, how many people, we see going in there every year. And most importantly, Dr. McGraw's, his involvement. The troubled teen industry takes an estimated 120,000 to 200,000 children each year, many for behavior modification treatment. I want to sit with those 3 words, behavior modification treatment. I want you to think about that for a little bit. And then while I'm reading this and I can't comment, I want you to give me your opinions on what you think behavior modification treatment should look like or should be, because I'm curious. This underregulated network of private treatment facilities have been around since the late 1950s, beginning with the Synanon cult. It's actually not true. We've now traced it back to the 1800s, but yeah, Synanon changed everything. Way to go, Chuck. The American Bar Association estimates that the troubled teen industry takes in a combined $23 billion a year, and that total is growing. Why is it growing? Behavior modification, substance abuse treatment, conversion therapy, group homes, religious treatment, wilderness therapy, and many others all fall under the umbrella of congregate care. In these situations, children aged 5 until their 18th birthday are placed in facilities at the mercy of the staff. Children themselves have no rights. I want to say that again. Children themselves have no rights. And if they do have any legal guardians, they are subject to their decisions. According to the court-appointed sole advocates of children, CASA, traditionally residential centers and other forms of congregate care have been used to accommodate high-risk children who require a level of care that was not available in the family home. Research conducted in the past several years now supports the finding that congregate care is less effective at achieving safety, permanency, and well-being outcomes than others, less restrictive settings, and is also costlier. And I can say that community-based treatment options are growing, but you still need to look into them as well. But they are growing to try to counter this, because there are good-hearted people out there trying to do the good work to help children, adolescents, and teens be the best adults that they can be and have the tools that they need. What the troubled teen industry does is completely strips you of everything and then kicks you out. While there may be clear defined problems surrounding children face, these traumas cannot possibly be addressed in the care of a wilderness therapy program, boot camp, or any other type of troubled teen industry program. The same is true of children who do have guardians, because a lot of kids, foster kids, end up getting thrown into these troubled teen industry programs as part of the foster care system because they don't have enough foster kids, and they've gotten rid of foster homes mainly around the country, as far as I understand. Maybe there might be some in every state, but it's a much smaller amount than it used to be. So although they have an advocate in their parent, children are rarely screened before entering a program. And even if they were, there are 100 others who will accept the child. So I covered this on Sunday, where these places, they don't look at academic records. They don't look at anything. They just accept them. And they accept them on the basis of the therapist and or IEC or IEP that they're working with, because most of the time they are paying therapist, counselors, and IEC members. And most of those now you're going to find with the IEPs that the consultants are privately owned as well now too, as well as the transportation services are also, and they're all intertwined. It all works together. Okay. So as stated in the National Youth Rights Association, NYRA, discipline interventions like these programs have been calculated to increase recidivism by as much as 8% compared to counseling intervention, which decreases recidivism by approximately 13%. Furthermore, even if the punishment is well remembered, it will be directly related to the child's image of the punisher, which will result in resentment and emotional distance. They go on to say that positive reinforcement strengthens the individual's desire to please and the individual attempting to shape their behavior, which can also be damaging. The extreme practices of these programs drastically increase their probability of repeated the behaviors they were sent away for, and leaves children with lifelong trauma as well. Yes, it's called CPTSD. Complex PTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a really good time. 0 out of 10, do not recommend. The NYRA explains that children can be sent away for behaviors as simple as low self-esteem, perceived entitlement issues, poor grades, family issues, and can even move into more difficult issues like depression. Or like Elijah, having a cell phone that he was hiding from his adopted parents. Despite a federal investigation in 2008 with the report titled Concerns Regarding Abuse and Death in Certain Programs for Troubled Youth that found substantial abuse and neglect across thousands of treatment programs, few have been closed. That's a problem. Big problem. Because the term troubled takes away all credibility from the child speaking up, and that's a fact. Allegations are treated as a form of manipulation or dismissed completely. Paris Hilton, a survivor of Provo School in Utah and 3 other programs, has begun to advocate for troubled youth and has recently revealed even more of her story. She, among other survivors, are part of an organization called Breaking Code Silence, which advocates for awareness, shares testimony, and provides other options to parents, among other activities. I just have to put a disclaimer out there and say that Breaking Code Silence does not exist any longer, and people have gone their separate ways. Okay, now this is where we get into a little bit of Dr. Phil here. I've talked about Danielle before. Okay, so Hilton is not the only high-profile celebrity speaking up, however. Danielle Bregoli, known professionally as Bad Baby, has recently come forward regarding the abuse she faced in the Dr. Phil endorsed Turnabout Ranch, which she was sent to at 13. So the first time that Danielle Bregoli was on the Dr. Phil show with her mother, and so also, and I can show receipts of this, the people in the crowd are encouraged to boo and say negative things to the teens sitting on stage during Dr. Phil tapings. And I will bring that up. I'm not going to bring it up today. I'm not going to have time, but I will bring it up. You want receipts? I'll give you receipts. It's right there. You can go in the archives of Dr. Phil. You know what? You have Google, but I'm still going to talk about it. So to Dr. Phil, she was just another segment on his show whose drama would increase viewership. And if you don't know her from Danielle or Bad Baby, you might know her as the Cash Me Outside girl, because they were screaming horrible things at her. You just couldn't hear because the microphone was not on the crowd, right? Well, okay. While on the show, Dr. Phil and her mother were describing her in an offensive manner, and the crowd mocked her. In response, the phrase, "Cash me outside, how about that?" was born. After her appearance on the show, she was sent to Turnabout Ranch in Utah for up to 6 months. She's come forward recently repealing her prior opinion on the program and shared the trauma she experienced there. She has joined Hilton in the BCS movement and asked Dr. Phil to apologize to her and any other children he institutionalized, which he outright refused to do. And that's on YouTube as well. Although many of the children admitted to these programs do need some form of help, using operant conditioning to train and scare children into behaving is detrimental. Scare tactics might work in the long run, but likely will just lead to emotional distance and hatred at the least, but more commonly post-traumatic stress disorder, as stated by BCS. Penridge Jr. Terrence Shine knows more people who suffer from mental illness or are struggling with issues that make life difficult, such as depression. Another junior, Leah Mott, shared the same experience, but made the connection that wilderness therapy and other types of congregate care are likely not solving anything. Once you get back in the real world, how do you deal with everything? This question can be answered any way by any facility, but in reality, once a child goes back in the world, they are on their own as far as their choices go. Life is no longer carefree. Everything is a test to see if they can make it with the new tools the program claimed to teach. Let kids be kids, worrying about things like poor grades, over-the-top phone usage, and laziness to the point that a parent is swayed to send their kids into a potentially neglectful and abusive situation is insanity. Whether a child is troubled or not, whether they truly need an intervention, this is not the way to go about it. Certainly, parents believe they have exhausted every option, but in all reality, this underregulated industry, well known to be abusive and use cult-like tactics on vulnerable children who cannot defend themselves, should not be the last resort, because it shouldn't even be an option. As a country that prides itself on protecting rights, the United States needs to start caring about these kids and shut every last program down. I really love that article. Sorry, I missed anything that everybody said. Yeah, behavior modification is too blanket. Yep. Let's see. Right? Right? I just want to see. My opinion, behavior modification treatment for dangerous behavior should be practiced first within the home under the guidance of professional psychologists. Yeah, I agree. Yep. Absolutely agree. see. Oops. Yeah. Behavior modification is to blanket. Tiff, when I say behavior modification, my scope is very narrow, and correcting, modifying dangerous or harmful behaviors is self-harm, harm to others, and criminal behaviors. Yes, and those things should be, honestly, they should be handled, but they're using behavior modification treatment for kids who don't want to take the garbage out. Okay, for kids who they're on their phone. I don't know a lot of kids that aren't on their phone. I mean, such minor infractions. Not they don't want to do their homework, or they don't feel good. They don't want to go to school. A lot of these kids are dealing with family issues in the home a lot of times as well. It's one of the reasons that the kids, shipping the kids off is a lot easier than, say, a divorce or other things that could happen. But this shows, I read that because I was so incredibly moved by the words, but because it also did discuss Dr. Phil and his affiliation, and how in the last 25 years Dr. Phil McGraw has grown this industry. He has promoted it to be the most amazing form of treatment for any child with any sort of behavioral issues. I don't want to take a shower for 3 days. Well, that's not acceptable. And I'm not even being obnoxious. Myself, I had troubles. I had divorced parents who were each, my dad was married again. My mom was in a relationship. Both of those relationships ended basically when I was sent away. Was it a coincidence? Not according to my dad and his second wife. Allegedly, I caused their divorce, which is fascinating. So I was married at 11 and then divorced at 14, because they had me part of their wedding ceremony, which I thought was really sweet at the time. But to be perfectly honest with you, I loved my dad as a kid. I did. I feared him more than anything, but I loved my dad. But he was a truck driver, and he worked a ton, worked midnights a lot. And then with this girl who's, in her 20s, she's like, she was 14 years older than me, and she had no idea how to deal with me. All I wanted, y'all, was to live with my mom, and I couldn't. So, things just got crazy. So I saw this. I thought it was really, really weird. I don't understand. I can't play the video because I will get struck. But so on drphil.com, there's what they call an episode. So he's still doing it, basically, is my point. And so this was, and it's entitled Troubled Teen Love. Let's just read this. Monday, April 28th, 2025. Teenage life can be tough enough with schoolwork, dating drama, and family pressure. But for Corey and Kim, the challenges run even deeper. Both still in high school and already raising 2 young children. This is the one where these are teenagers who are still in school, have 2 kids, and are trying to. So basically, he's just. Okay, yeah, I misunderstood that. I remember I did read this. So it was, they're trying to save their relationship, but just sitting down with the troubled young couple to uncover the root of their issues and explore whether their relationship can be saved for their sake and for the sake of their kids. And it just shows me, what the heck? Let's just, I think he's probably daytime, right? Did it change? Okay. So I'm going to make sure it changes. Oh, it's gone. Okay. How about prime time? Wow, be on the show. What does that do? Helicopter brainwashing children. Helicopter parent caught up in the crowd. Family court failed you. Adult child living at home. Influence to be racist to hate. Family conflict over going to college. Are you no longer proud to be an American? Trouble with your teen. Oh, look at that. Are you a parent of a teen or young adult who says college isn't for them? Does your son or daughter take their life plans, say their life plan is to be a YouTube or TikTok star? More and more young people are foregoing college for careers on social media. But as a parent, how do you feel about it? If you're struggling with your teen and don't know what path is best for them, we want to hear your story. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Oh, they did. Because it wasn't just Danielle. Every kid, Hannah, Archuleta, and some others. The problem, and I want to find out, this is another thing that I'm going to research is, okay, so if the parents signed NDAs and the kids signed NDAs when they were minors, does their NDA not count when they become 18? So that's something that I've been looking at. Oh, I didn't have ready for today, but I do want to look into that because I feel like these survivors that were exploited on daytime television by this man who's profiting off of sending them to abusive programs, I think they should be allowed to speak out. This is exactly why I want specifics in what my behaviors. I'd seek help for modifying minor inconveniences, bad behaviors, while sexuality, in my opinion, is a dangerous and harmful to try to modify. I don't think it should be tried to modify because these kids are going to figure out who they are and what they are on their own. I don't think that sexuality, I don't think that anything regarding sexuality, gender for children should be infringed upon or attempted to change. I just don't believe that age old adage of it's just a phase, you'll grow out of it. Not really, not all the time. So we have here, this is just recent. This was yesterday. So this is parents say Dr. Phil exploited troubled teen. And this is in Salt Lake City. Parents claim showman Dr. Phil paid to have their teenage daughter locked up at a private prison where her arm was mangled in a melee with a math teacher. After the girl saw a lover killed as they had sex and then was caught seeking sex online. Okay, so she was sent away for seeing her lover be ended, and because they were trying to, oh no, okay, I apologize. So the girl saw her lover being unalived while they were having sex and then was caught seeking sex online. So she's traumatized by, she was 15. Okay. So she was traumatized by the experience of having her lover being unalived while in the act. And then she was showing signs of hypersexuality. That is not troubled. It's trauma. What? Okay. And this whole having her arm mangled by a teacher. Wow. So Terry and David Myers sued the Dr. Phil organization. Bain Capital, started by and formerly CEO was Mitt Romney, very much made his fortune off the troubled teen industry. File that away in your memory banks because it's important. CRC Health Group Aspen Educational Group, Island View Academy, and math teacher Ryan Mortensen in federal court. The Missouri family claims in the lawsuit that the vaunted television psychologist Phil McGraw exploited them after their 15-year-old daughter, whose name is not shown, was caught soliciting sex on the internet. According to the 25-page lawsuit, the daughter was a 15-year-old female friend, was with a 15-year-old female friend, both having consensual sex with an adult male. No, it's not. When another man arrived and killed in front of them the individual with whom they had been involved. The daughter, in response to having had interactions underage amounting to SA, started seeking for sex online with older men. So her brain she had already been brainwashed by this. I can't believe they called him a lover, and I can't believe they called it consensual sex. She's 15 years old. Her friend is 15 years old. And that's not consensual because it was an adult man. That's not what we call consensual. No. So, deeply concerned by their daughter's bizarre and dangerous behavior, the Myers say they turned to McGraw for help. On air in February 2013, McGraw charged Terry Myers with failing her daughter by a country mile and the daughter of total naivete in thinking her internet contacts might be having emotional problems just as she was, the complaint states. Dr. Phil's psychological remedy was to offer free treatment for the daughter at Island View, a Utah punitive behavior modification lockdown facility. Dr. Phil, however, knew or should have known that any placement at Island View would subject the daughter to such a demented regimen that she would be at risk of her problems being exacerbated. McGraw, the Myers say, never addressed the trauma this young woman had already suffered by having the 19-year-old that she and an equally young friend had just been intimate with, shot to death in front of them by the molester's friend, a jealous teenage male. What a messed up story. Dr. Phil thus ignored the causes of SM's trauma and then exacerbated the trauma by paying Island View to lock her up far from home in a private prison. Bain Capital purchased Aspen Education, owner of Island View, for $300 million in 2006. Bain Capital, started by and formerly run by Mitt Romney. Analysts estimated that companies like Aspen have profit margins of 10 to 20% of revenue, the New York Times reported in 2005, 20 years ago, according to Myers' lawsuit. The Myers say their daughter was made to complete mindless tasks of blind obedience enforced by cruel punishments at Island View, leading up to a melee with Mortensen in mindless guards. When a math teacher, Ryan Mortensen, told her to stay after school, she refused and went to her room. He then came after her and ordered her to an isolation room for timeout. She refused that too in emphatic and obscene language and told him to leave her alone. He then pulled her off her bed and called for help from 3 others to enforce his command. In the melee that ensued, there was a loud pop that stopped everyone in their tracks. The daughter's right dominant arm was badly and perhaps irreparably broken, and its main nerves have severely damaged. Given the SAs and murders she had been through, the last thing an untrained male should have done was to assault her. Parentheses in complaint. The Myers claim that McGraw is a showman who separated them from their daughter against their respective wills. Dr. Phil has shown himself to be a showman more interested in ratings than a psychologist devoted to healing, the complaint states. Dr. Phil, on information and belief, was paid either in money or notoriety or both for endorsing not only Island View, but also a raft of CRC compounds just as abusive, like the ones that I have already stated before. Prior to, okay, hang on one sec. Apologies. Compounds like Island View market themselves as boarding schools, academies, therapeutic boarding centers, ranches, or wilderness experiences designed to straighten out truant or failing teens. Their failure to do so are endemic and epidemic. They leave a trail of post-traumatic stress and nightmares. Their extravagant fees suggest great expertise and cloak minimal credentials. The daughter was thrust into Island View without the slightest understanding of what she was getting into and had no choice in the matter. For Dr. Phil, she represented one in a string of damaged teenagers that he boasted of helping. Bragged, I would say. Accompanied by his psychological opinions of such, why did I say it like that? Accompanied by his psychological opinions that such tough love, that term, there's no such thing as tough love. It doesn't exist. It's like counterterrorism. Okay. Was just the treatment they needed. It's exactly what you need. I know better than you what you need for your daughter. There are no forum for complaints, explanation, appeal, or grievance against the placement before, during, or after it occurred. The only option was to bear it. For Island View, like all other such places, was locked and closely guarded. Also, the children were restricted from speaking to their parents, and any written correspondence or email correspondence is always monitored by the program. Once confined, no contact with the outside world was allowed, and the daughter knew that any disparaging remarks or complaints about the prison would be punished by isolation and losing all privileges earned, meaning making the teenager start at the bottom anew and rise from level to level by successfully completing mindless tasks of blind obedience enforced by cruel punishment, physical, verbal, mental, psychological, and restraints and isolation. The Myers seek punitive damages for fraud, false imprisonment, and breach of fiduciary duty. They are represented by Thomas Burton. I just found that so grateful to see that the parents are, 2013, that's 12 years ago. But I'm going to look into this a little bit further and see if she's okay or around still. That might be an issue, but that wasn't. This is really great. And I want to show this great thing by Samantha Bee that I love. I really love Samantha Bee. What a horrible abuse of fame, influence, and power. If you really didn't know what they were doing there, it's still an incredibly irresponsible act of willful ignorance. I agree. I said this earlier that I do my best to have empathy for parents these days. However, my empathy is waning. My empathy is waning because in the last, we'll say 5 years, but really picking up in the last 2.5 to 3 years, there are growing numbers of survivors like myself, high profile survivors like Paris, that are speaking out. We've had Paris, the documentary on YouTube. We had the program by Catherine Kubler on Netflix. We had Team Torture Inc. on HBO/Max. We have right here Liz Ionelli, who wrote I See You Survivor. She did a documentary that's going around to the film festivals, and they're hoping for distribution and really hope soon they'll get some distribution. That documentary is entitled The Kids Are Not All Right. I have seen snippets. Unfortunately, there hasn't been a film festival near enough for me to be able to afford to go. But and people are talking about this, and it's becoming more and more apparent, so I don't take this, well, I didn't know. Oh, he knew. He absolutely knew. He absolutely knew. He did. And what he also did was help them with their image. He helped them, come up with the great brochures and helped with the video, showing the video montages. It's from McGraw. He has done this to me before. I will go back and edit what I need to edit out. I'll get an email about it, and I want this up. This is very important. I didn't talk for an hour and a half showing receipts for an hour and a half for this piece of shit to come and strike me. So yes, reenactment while other students were forced to yell cruel obscenities at them, calling them names. So is there anything that anyone wants to ask or cover before I end the stream so that I can get into the editing portion that I partially was expecting this. I was hoping not to. I didn't use anything that directly tied me back to, you know what, it could have been Fox. I don't know. But since it was during this, I don't know. I'll find out in a moment. Thank you so much. Thank you. Because I wanted to come back, not necessarily validate myself or anything, but I wanted to do right by what my heart feels and what my brain knows about Dr. Phil and his participation, promotion, marketing, and money making in the troubled teen industry truly does, and how it affects so many people. It's not just the families that come on the show, it's also the viewers, the people that are in the audience. Everybody is, hey, it's okay. They took me down for a minute until I stopped showing a video that I was showing. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to edit that part out. It's but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to, because I'm going to paste this in the comments. And anyone who's interested in seeing the video of Samantha B's coverage of this from 2021, because I'm going to have to cut it out, please feel free to go watch that, because it's brilliant. She, as a comedian, has a unique take that I really appreciate. And I also like that she's vulgar, because, it's fun to get your point across that way sometimes, right? So, I'll give you guys just a few to here. And once more for clarity, go to hell, Dr. Phil, and all that enable you. Yeah, and every single person that enables you. You're a monster. And we see you. And we will continue to cover you, no matter how many times you try to shut a stream down. No matter how many times you come out with a statement about survivors that you nearly ruined their lives, we're going to speak out. And we will force you to stop. Because we are going to reform the industry, and we're going to get rid of every abusive one, and everyone that you, Dr. Phil, are affiliated with are abusive. Like I like to say, we're not silent anymore. The survivors are coming, not to hurt you, but you're not going to get to hurt any more like us. You're done hurting children, Dr. Phil, Mr. Religious Liberties Commission member, ICE ride along, president's best bud. No more. There are people in this country that actually do care what happens to the children. And it's the ones who were children that were broken by places that you send kids to for money. Yes. Stay strong, survivors. Always. And never be silent again. Lastly, my own personal thing that I do at the end of my videos is I'm going to leave this up here, is to thank you for joining me. I know that this stuff is never easy. I apologize for forgetting to put my trigger warning banner. I've been very excited about this particular stream, and I will be back tomorrow, 7:30, I believe, tomorrow. Oh no, tomorrow's Friday. I'm not going to be here Friday. I will be on Rocktails with Amit Zappa, 8:00 Eastern. Anybody who digs music, it's a great no drama chat. and it's super fun. I don't suggest anybody who's in active recovery from alcohol to go over there because they do partake in libations. So I don't want to trigger any of my friends, but anybody's obviously welcome. And I've also built a Discord for that channel as well. So I will be back on Saturday. And I thank each and every one of you, not only, absolutely, thank you. And I just want to remind us all that we are the change makers. And one of the ways that we can make change is to fight the hate and division in this country by being kind to at least one person today. All of us. Practice it every day. I've noticed that it's become a regular thing for me, and I enjoy it, and I get it in return. It's not why I do it, but I'm getting it in return. It doesn't matter our religious beliefs. It doesn't matter where we stand politically. We're human beings, and children should be first. So let's do what we can to make the world a better place, okay? Please all be safe and take care of yourselves and come back. And if you don't mind clicking the like or dislike, I know I'm going to get some haters, so you can dislike it. And I, appreciate anybody who leaves a comment after the stream. Thank you all for joining me. It means more to me than I know how to express. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.